Okay, so if you're a history buff, there's probably one thing you're absolutely sure of when it comes to the Eastern Roman Empire. They called themselves Romans or Romei, and this whole Byzantine label, we're always told that's something historians made up way, way later.
Right? But what if that's not the whole story? What if we've all been missing a key piece of the puzzle, a clue that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time?
So that's what we're doing in this explainer. Think of it as a historical detective mission. We're going to follow a trail that starts with a single, really weird document and takes us all the way to the front lines of a brutal war. We'll see how the name Byzantine was actually forged, not in some quiet library by academics, but right there in the heat of battle.
All right, so our investigation kicks off with our very first piece of evidence, a mysterious letter from an emperor that seems to break all the rules we thought we knew.
So, let's set the scene. The year is 678 AD. The emperor, Constantine IV, is dealing with this huge religious dispute that's just tearing the empire apart. He fires off this really official imperial command, it's called a Sacra, over to the Pope in Rome, telling him to send some people for a big council. And you know, buried deep in the details of who exactly should show up, you find this one little phrase. The emperor asks for monks from the 4 Byzantine monasteries. Seems simple enough, but that one word is, and I'm not exaggerating, a historical bombshell.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, what's the big deal, right? Why is this one little word shaking up what historians have thought for ages?
Well, it's because back then the word Byzantine, or Byzantios in Greek, had a super specific, very narrow meaning. It just meant someone from the city of Constantinople, which itself was built on the old Greek colony of Byzantium. It was a geographic label, like saying you're a New Yorker. It wasn't a national identity. So the big question is, who were these monks, really? Well, historical research dug up a critical detail. These guys were the top theologians of their day who had actually fled to Rome from all over the Eastern Mediterranean. We're talking Palestine, Cilicia, Armenia, Syria. You know the one place they absolutely positively were not from? Constantinople. And this is the key takeaway, right here. The emperor didn't just make a typo. He was deliberately using the word Byzantine in a brand new way. Over in Italy, the word Roman was starting to get a little fuzzy, so he was creating a new catch-all label for anyone loyal to the new Rome, Constantinople, no matter where they were originally from. He was basically running a political branding campaign. Okay, but look, one word in a letter, that's a great clue, but it's not the whole case. To see if this new Byzantine identity was just some idea floating around the palace, or if it was something real, we got to get out of the imperial court and get our boots on the ground on the front lines in Italy.
So, let's head to the Italian limes. And what is that? Well, think of it as this heavily fortified border zone that basically sliced right through the Italian peninsula. For centuries, this place was a non-stop battleground, a brutal meat grinder that literally forged new identities. So, on one side of this line, you've got the Lombards, a Germanic people pushing south, trying to conquer everything. And on the other side, you have the imperial forces fighting tooth and nail to defend the emperor's land. 2 different cultures, 2 different languages, just locked in this epic struggle to survive.
Now, on a frontier this brutal, everything becomes a weapon, even your language. And this is where the research from Giuseppe Greco gets really cool. He showed how each side started to literally brand the landscape with its own military words, basically drawing their battle lines with place names. And that's where toponymy, the study of place names, becomes our secret weapon.
Check this out. This is a perfect example. The Lombards, for their fortified camps, they'd use their Germanic word laker. The Imperials, on their side, used the Greek word phylacterion for their guard posts. They were basically carving their languages, their identities, right onto the map of Italy.
Okay, and this is where the story gets really, really cool. These ancient military terms didn't just vanish into thin air. Nope, they left permanent fingerprints that you and I can still see today. So let's break down how this actually worked. That Lombard word for a war camp, lacar, over hundreds of years, it morphed into modern Italian town names like Lago. And on the flip side, that imperial Greek word phylacterion turns into towns we know today as Phileto. It's incredible. Ancient war camps literally became modern hometowns. And now, look at this. This is the proof in the pudding. When you actually plot these names on a map, like this one from the frontier in Lucania, the pattern is it's undeniable. You can literally see the battle line. You've got the Lombard Lago spots on one side, and right there, staring them down, are the imperial Phileto sites. Researchers call this a recurring toponymic system.
This is not a coincidence. This isn't random. What you're looking at is the ghost of a military strategy, an ancient battle map drawn not with ink, but with the names of towns and villages that are still there today.
Okay, so this all brings us right back to our main mystery. We know the imperials branded the land with their military terms, but did they ever use the actual word Byzantine? Did they plant that flag?
And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. We find it right here in the river Bisenzio in Tuscany. We see it in the town of Bisenti in Abruzzo. It's even there in the river Basento, which had its old name deliberately changed after the imperials reconquered the area. These aren't just names, people. These are the smoking guns. This is the term Byzantine, being physically stamped onto the land as a mark of ownership.
And here it is. This is the moment it all clicks together. The new political term the emperor used in his letter, and the brand being stamped all over the frontier map, they were the exact same thing. Byzantine became a flag of identity, a way of shouting, "This land and these people belong to the new Rome," right in the face of the enemy.
So what does all this really mean? Why should we care about digging up the true origin of just one word?
It matters because, as the research beautifully puts it, the names all around us are like telegrams sent from a distant past. They're packed with these hidden messages about wars and identities and political battles we'd long forgotten. And by putting together that letter from the emperor with these clues on the map, we finally figured out how to read them.
So, turns out the people of the Eastern Roman Empire didn't just call themselves Romans. In the heat of battle on a contested frontier, they also called themselves Byzantines. It makes you wonder, what secret history, what forgotten telegram is hiding in the name of your town?